I'm share my screen.
Yet,
All right.
over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Gibson. Good evening, Dr. Victoria. Good evening, my colleagues. My name is Kachana. I work in mental health. I'm a senior mental health practitioner in the UK, and God, through God and through God's intervention, really, I was able to meet Dr. Sam incidentally in church because we attend the same church, and he mentioned that he teaches, with CHM, and I took interest in it, and I met some church members who have undergone this program too and have really done well for themselves, and CHM has opened doors for them, and I picked interest in it, and that's how my journey started with CHM. Now, before joining CHM, I had a very basic knowledge of IT and the rest, but I didn't have any idea about things like SQL or NLP or even cloud computing. Without CHM, I wouldn't have known this. And based on the field I work in, we rarely really deal with things like this. But I didn't even know that there are people out there who have the same kind of education as myself and are into data science and the rest. But because they had this knowledge I didn't have, so I really thank CHM for this opportunity. So I, like everyone else that has presented before me, I started a knowledge class and I learned. I think the standout one for me really there in knowledge class was SQL and Python, and I had the opportunity to do this data science with Dr. Sam, and I was able to see how we can actually use machine learning to predict a range of things and to determine several outcomes. But I would also say that after Dr. Sam, I went on to then do the NLP, which is really my standout module in the whole of the CHM that I've done, really. I totally enjoy CHM because it aligned with my field, and it was so easy to see how I can apply NLP to my field in mental health, and it's really wonderful. I cannot stop talking about it. But yeah. So my project really is to look at health seeking behavior among people that are reporting mental health difficulties and things like that, or symptoms. And why this matters is that, like we are all aware, with mental health issues and difficulties, people sometimes do not want to report, or sometimes people do not even want to acknowledge that they are struggling with their mental health. So you see, the case of underreporting, and sometimes that can then lead to underdiagnosis. And sometimes somebody can come to the hospital and say they didn't sleep well, insomnia, and then we can say, well, maybe you were stressed or something like that, or maybe you had coffee or something. It could be a sign of mental illness that is developing, and so people do not. We tend to underdiagnose sometimes, and we tend to. Because people tend to underreport again sometimes. So for this project, guided by what I've learned so far in this platform. And to crown it up with the AWS, I was able to import, by creating my S3 bucket, and I was able to, then move on to SageMaker, created my notebook, and that led me to this page that I'm on right now. So I got the data set from Kaggle, which I was able to do a bit of work on it. So I will also skip the cleaning and move straight to a bit of an EDA where I would just like to talk about a few things and then wrap up. So for gender distribution, we can see that in that data set that I got, males were they participated more in that survey compared to females. And what I intend to do is to then try and see if I can use some NLP project in the future after this to see why we have this variation and see what are males saying and what are females saying in terms of their mental health. So also treatment by gender, you can see that males actually although they reported more symptoms, they are in terms of health seeking, they are very poor at it. So you can see that the number of no to treatment for males is quite high. And as we are aware again, there is established reports out there that males do not tend to seek mental health treatment, especially in our culture in Nigeria, where people would say, you're a man, you should not be saying that, you're suffering with your mental health or things like that. So women actually showed a bit of an improvement in terms of seeking help when their mental health is struggling. So, and in terms of countries from that data, US reported the highest, and followed by the UK. And some of the factors that are associated with seeking mental health treatment are things like family history, which is very important. Coping with struggles is another thing. Care options, are there opportunities for them to access care? Because it's one thing to have mental ill health, it's another thing to have an opportunity to actually get treatment. So, but family history is a strong indicator, which I'll be talking about that when I get to feature importance. Now, a bit of more EDA that I will now bore you with those ones. And then another thing I'd like to talk about is being indoors and mood swings or mood fluctuations, where we say the number of days that people stay indoors and how their mood kind of fluctuates. So for 1 to 14 days, besides, these are the ones that I said maybe my mood swing is the highest there. But incidentally, and I intend to investigate this, we are saying that we have more mood fluctuation in people that go out every day. So I'm wondering why that is, because going out can actually improve your mood, but also by going out you can also meet people at work or in the local area that could say things to you that would impact on your mood. So that is something that I want to use the knowledge gained in NLP to then investigate this further and see what are people saying about going out every day. What are some of the sentiments they are actually putting out there in terms of their responses. Now, the next bit is how comfortable people are. This is another important one that I discuss it. I'd like to take this forward really to my workplace to see how people actually or the level of confidence that people have to discuss their mental health in general during job interviews, because we're trying to reduce stigma so that people are a bit reluctant to say I'm struggling with my mental health, and but if you disclose that, the importance of it really is that we will know, and then we can put reasonable adjustments in place for you to then help you cope with the high stress working environment. So you can see that a lot of people say they are not comfortable talking about their mental health during interviews, which is quite eye-opening. So I'll just keep a bit of that one. So I opted for machine learning because I intend to do a very proper NLP project on this. But yeah, for now, I said let me start with the machine learning. So I imported all of my modules, defined my targets, and then I went on to train my model, as my people have already kind of explained this to us, and I used uh two models, the logistic regression and random forest. And after the training, the best one for me really was the logistic regression. So after that, uh, I then say, okay, let me do a bit of visualization to see how the models perform. And I can see that you can see here that logistic regression perform better than random forest. And you can see that, it is in the 90s, while random forest is in the 80s. Now, in terms of feature importance, which is where I said I was going to say something here, there are three features here that I felt, are really important in terms of health-seeking behavior. Now, family history, and whether yes or no, and then care options, or whether yes or no. Now, as you can see on this graph, the gender of the respondents did not really, it's very equal in terms of the importance of that as a feature. But for family history, why this is important is for someone who you hear people say that, is there someone that suffers from anxiety in your family? Say yes. So that too can help people seek mental health care, because they say, okay, my older brother or my younger sister, suffered with these symptoms, and then they went to and they got help, so they felt better. Or they went to CAMS, and CAMS helped them and did some therapy work with them over 8 to 10 weeks or something like that, and they felt better. So whether there's family history or not, this actually plays an important role in as a feature. And then care options. So it's one thing for me to disclose that I'm struggling with my mental health, but is there care available for me out there? So through this knowledge that I've gained here, again, I've noticed that, yeah, if there are options there available, people can get help, which is actually something that I it's an eye opener for me, because I am an advocate for people to go and get help, but is the help available? So that's another thing we should be asking really. And so after that, I saved my model, and then I reload the model, and as you can see here for the LR, we have 96% accuracy. Now, the most important on the final note for me really is the knowledge I've gained in CHM will go a long way in helping me first change my own practice, and then influence change or influence policy in my place of work. Because sometimes we sit and say, why are people not accessing help? Why are people not coming to come and get this help that is very available and very free to them to access? But now I'm beginning to see that there are so many factors that are in play. And when I did the NLP guided by Dr. Victoria, and I noticed that using where we can go to Reddit and get people's sentiments. I was like, oh gosh, so this is what people saying about mental health services or even camps or suicide, depression, and the rest. So it's really important. I intend to be sharing this with my bosses to say, look, can we just look at this Reddit data and see what people are actually saying about the service we are providing, and see what we can actually influence change. But thank you so much for Dr. Gibson, Dr. Victoria, Dr. Sam, and everyone else that has supported me during this journey. And I have really enjoyed myself, and this has opened my eyes to a whole lot of possibilities, and I'm very grateful. God bless you, sir. God bless you, ma. Thank you.